Hello and welcome to this episode of Backyardia Science. Today we have some armor. I enjoy armor testing. I enjoy watching armor testing. I enjoy doing it, and that's what we're going to do today. Today, I have some arm guards. It's got little scale plates in it, about like this. Allegedly ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene cloth, which is kind of cut resistant and generally pretty tough stuff. I don't know if it's actually real, because again, usual suspect, shady Chinese website. But yeah, I think this would be a fun little scale bit of armor to test. And because it happened to have a little scale outside already, we can measure and find out how thick these scales are. 27 thou thick. I apologize, it's in standard units, but I'll do the conversion to metric and let you know what that is, so you don't have to do that part yourself. I have also a perfect analog of a human forearm. Look at that. That is like this is more real than an actual forearm, actually. I mean, a human forearm has, like flaws in it with, extra bones, and this is consistent and scientifically calibrated to give the same results every time. Anyway, so let's head out to the field and do some testing. I'm going to do a couple cuts with a sword, and then we're going to go to crossbows. One thing about forearm armor is that it's actually surprising how often in, say, movies and whatnot, that someone raises their arm and they block a shot with it because they have a robot hand. I mean, maybe not incredibly common, but it happens often enough. So anyway, let's go try this out, and we're gonna hit it with a sword first, and then ramp up crossbows for various power, so about 27 foot-pounds with a cheap shot, about 50 with a Siege 300, and if those fail, we'll ramp it up some more. But let's see what we get first. All right, so we have our forearm here freestanding, so maybe not the best situation. Maybe you cut the arm off at the elbow, the armored forearm flew up, and then as you go to deliver the coup de grace, the severed arm gets in the way. Might be a little convoluted, but we're going to hit it with the old cutlass here. We have a good bit of bite into the fabric. I don't believe... Oh! We did cut through. Unfortunately, my carefully calibrated pool noodle already has gouges in it. A very minor cut at worst. At worst, well, probably more blunt trauma than actual cutting force right there. Get rid of our freestanding arm. All right, now I have a more carefully braced arm, so this won't just be flopping around. Now it should actually be imitating someone actually bracing for an impact with their forearm. Kind of hitting the same spot. Let's do a more downward cut this time. Let's do one more. You can see in the glint of the light where the sword edge is hit. It is blunted, and I'm going to need to get that sharpened back up. But no serious damage. Kind of kept on hitting right here, so that's really torn up. But it is still intact. We have, let me see here, yeah. So this is pretty well torn up, but not a whole lot through. I'll try to lay these. You definitely feel like this guy here is bent pretty badly, but not cut. Some of the thrusts would just glance off as soon as it got to a metal plate. The ones that caught in the cloth, so Pretty cut resistant. You're still going to have the blunt force trauma, but in general, that's going to do a pretty good job of preventing you from getting a lethal wound, I think. So, we've done the sword portion. Now we're going to go to archery equipment. So we're going to use a fresh arm bracer here. There we go. So now this is going to be the classic, cinematic, and then you're saved because you have either a robot or armored hand in the way. We're going to start out with my beloved cold steel cheap shot and a vaguely reminiscent of armor-piercing point. Okay, yeah, that's not good. The geometry of the point actually prevented it from going in further. And this time we're going to do a hunting broadhead, and we're going to up the power a little bit. Point is a bit mussed up, but that didn't actually go through. It glanced in there. See a little rivet, it looks like. But yeah, that did not go through. I thought for sure at least this much was going to go in, but it did not. I'm going to try the armor-piercing point with the Siege 300, because if I don't, I'm going to always wonder why. There we go. Into the wood underneath. It took the knock off, which means the impact was pretty sharp. So yeah, this would have cracked a bone. Oh, we bent the point a little bit. Yeah, so this would be, that would be pretty devastating, having an arrow go and crack your bones. So far, fun and interesting results, but we're going to take it up 2 notches. We're going to go to my Carbon Express Heritage with Excalibur Bulldog 440 limbs put on it. And we're going to smite it with an Edge Tack 375 grain broadhead. Go. Poking out the other side. Tore this up. Don't think we went through our completely real, definitely not artificial bone. Oh, it's poking through a plate and it's trying to take it with it. I have what's left of the forearm guards here, doubled up, and I have a drill blank ground down to a very nice point on the old Zombie Slayer shaft. Oh yes. Go. Into the foam target behind it. Oh, only through a couple layers of the actual armor there. Well, I didn't go through both of the armor plates, but I did go through the bone. My completely accurate, scientifically accurate, highly calibrated bone. That is a lot of oomph, to use the technical term. The non-technical term is momentum or something like that. Well, let's go dissect these, shall we? Before we begin our dissection of these arm guards, we need to thank our sponsor, Fine Dining's latest opening, Cloak and Dagger's Murder Mystery Dinner Theater. Fine dining? Check. Murder? Double check. Figure out who done it by the 4th act and enjoy a complimentary dessert on us. Figure out what's in the meat and you have to leave early. Once again, thanks to Cloak and Dagger Murder Mystery Dinner Theater, the only thing thicker than the plot is the soup. for sponsoring this. And let's get to dissecting, shall we? All right, so it looks like, oh, these are all kind of in a denim, and they're just riveted to that. Very makeshift, very brigandine. Yeah, I think this is real ultra high molecular polyethylene because it is not cutting easily at all. It's also not a very good utility knife. It's not anymore. All right, there we go. There is our scales all set out. I think they do need to make a version of this where all the scales are exposed. I think that would look better. I think that this thickness of material is just too little to really protect against crossbow equipment. It did very nicely against sword cuts, about what we'd expect, because that's a lot of surface area interacting with something that's difficult to cut in that axis. It did reasonably well against thrusting attacks, glancing off most of them, and normally you expect that maybe the point will wander in between the scales, but that didn't seem to happen all that often. Granted, I didn't do as many tests as I would like. If you're in a world full of sabers, this would actually probably work pretty well. If you ever manage to get to that world. As far as crossbows, my weakest crossbow with a good armor piercing point, or not even a good one, like just a mediocre one, was able to go in the depth of the point and then stop, not enough to really disable or kill you or even stop you, but certainly if you had an opponent with one of those sticking in them, whatever your odds were before the hit were better after the hit. And then stepping it up to the Siege 300, which is about 50 foot-pounds of energy, plenty of speed and momentum to punch through this. And then you step it up to a full-size, full-power hunting crossbow. Forget it. You're not going to be walking away from that. If you find yourself in a world where you are being threatened by crossbow-wielding persons, if they're all weaker crossbows, get something heavier. And if they're shooting high-powered crossbows, get something way heavier. Anyway, I hope this was useful and entertaining to someone, and maybe just entertaining. Thank you all for watching. Say I have a chip on my shoulder. I say differently.